Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? I hope well. So today, gosh, what is this? Is day 6? No, this is part 7. Okay, hi. So we are here, part 7 of the healing series. We have written one more part. So we will have another part that I will talk about tomorrow. So it'll be just like a little bonus. I'm excited to talk about today, guys. I'm very passionate about this topic in particular. And to be honest, I'm just going to read my blog today because I don't want to trip over my words, and they're all right here. And this is what I want you to know. And so I'm going to read this to you. And if anything I say is making you feel like, yeah, then I want you to give me some hearts or something, all right? Most of us in the past few years have heard about the importance of boundaries. In fact, I doubt anyone is surprised that I'm saying boundaries are an essential step to healing, right? We all know that we need boundaries, and yet they're incredibly hard to enforce. Why? Most of us have been told, most of us have been trained how to ignore our own needs, our own wants, and desires in the name of being polite and making other people feel comfortable. As children, we were told to be polite to everyone. We were told to behave. We're told to treat others the way we want to be treated. We're told to share. We're told to give hugs, even if we don't want to give hugs and it makes us uncomfortable. We're told to refuse water or snacks at a friend's house if they're offered, even if we're hungry or thirsty. Still, to this day, a child is required to invite every single person in his or her class to his birthday party or her birthday party. It's a freaking school policy. I've said it before, but it's worth repeating that healing is really about loving yourself. We are taught to love others. We are taught to be selfless. We are taught to give. This is so ingrained in us that we genuinely feel guilty. We feel sick at our stomachs. We feel embarrassed. We feel wrong when we begin to take time for ourselves. This is why many people never heal. If you are constantly trying to obey other people's desires for who you're to be and what you're to do, you cannot hear your own knowing. It's back to that left brain critic that I talked about earlier in this healing process. If you are going to heal, you are going to have to be okay with disappointing other people. This might go against everything that you were taught growing up. But while loving others is essential, and sometimes it is uncomfortable, there is a way to love without self-rejection. When my twins were born, I didn't take away from my love for Stella so I could reallocate it to them. That's not how that worked. My love grew. In the same way, I can love the people around me without removing any love that I have for myself. In fact, the very best way to love others is out of an overflow of love for myself. The best way for me to foster that self-love is boundaries. So what is a boundary? Boundaries can be promises you make to yourself out of love. We're probably most familiar with boundaries about obligations, events, family dynamics. Let's take my role as a mom for an example. Look, as much as I want to be a fully present mom, okay, and I really want to be like fully involved in their school. Actually, that's It's not true. I want my kids to know that they are very important to me. I want them to feel loved. I want them to know that their education is important, that their time at their school is important. But I don't want to be the homeroom mom, okay? I don't. And I don't want to be on the PTA. I don't want to be in charge of fundraising. I don't want to bring the snacks, okay? I don't want to do it. Part of self-love is being really honest with myself, even if it feels ugly, even if it goes against what I was taught as a child that I should be doing. You got to push past any self-shaming voices. That's your inner critic again. So once I realize I need to make a promise out of love regarding my relationship with my kids' school activities, I can create the boundary or my non-negotiables. And I also like to add a time frame to the boundary because boundaries can always change. Okay, nothing's permanent. What was loving in one season can feel restrictive or harmful in another. So here's my example for you for this year. I'm not going to say yes to anything having to do with the PTA. I'm not going to feel the need to volunteer for all the school events. I will, however, go on the field trips. I'm not signing up to be the homeroom mom. Someone else can do that. I do not have the time and energy to help with decorations or snacks. I just don't. I do not have to say yes to every single birthday party invitation that comes home in my child's backpack. I will teach my kids the difference between friends and acquaintances. I will teach them early that they don't have to do everything that they are asked to do. I don't have to cook dinner every night. I don't have to attend a big, huge family Christmas on Christmas Day, 6 hours away from my home. I can choose to have Christmas at my home and allow my kids and myself a calm, cozy day in our pajamas, playing with toys and watching movies. I'm also not going to attend that family event where there's an uncle that gets belligerent drunk and says really inappropriate things. I will not, no matter who doesn't like it, put my kids in that environment. I will break that cycle. I will not show my kids that, yeah, this is something that makes everyone in the room uncomfortable. We can all feel it, but we're all just going to be silent and pretend it's normal. I will not pass this self-violation onto my own children in the name of keeping peace. It's my job to protect them and show them the best path, even if it means disappointing others, even if it means disappointing family. And then there are boundaries from people. This is hard. This is hard because we love our people, but you have to learn how to prioritize your needs. By limiting or ending some relationships, you increase your capacity for the people you do love and want in your life, including yourself. And just a reminder, you don't have to save others. That's not your responsibility. It's also not your responsibility how anyone else feels. It's your responsibility to know how you feel. How you feel and to honor that. People are allowed to be upset with how you carry that out, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. For me, sometimes distance allows me the space from which I can love you and still love me. Let's be real. Some people are hard to love up close, but totally lovable 10 steps away. Sometimes you just gotta allow yourself the space. Because boundaries are your responsibility. You teach people how to treat you. You must love yourself enough to set boundaries. No one else is going to do this for you. Just you. So, boundaries about people. Ask yourself, who is draining you? Sometimes it's those closest to you. Your mother, your sibling, your spouse, a friend that you've had since childhood. One question I ask myself about childhood friendships is this: if I met this person today, would I choose to be friends with them? If the answer is no, that doesn't mean that I don't love them. It doesn't mean that I don't want them in my life. Of course I do. It just means maybe not as frequently as I once did. There is a time and season for every friendship. Do not cling on to winter when spring is blooming. Another good boundary question for people. Ask yourself, who initiates the time together? If it is always you, that's not a mutual relationship. You need people in your life who are just as excited to spend time with you as you are with them. And ask yourself, how does your body feel? If you cringe when you see their name on your phone, pretty good indicator that you probably need to set a boundary. These two groups of boundaries summarize two of the most important categories in our lives. What are my essential roles and what are my important relationships? Basically, who am I and who do I want to be around? I often say, I can do anything, but I can't do everything. In the same way, you can be anyone, but you cannot be everything to everyone. And just like a child needs you to follow through on consequences and promises in order to trust what you say, you need to follow up with your established boundaries if you're going to gain trust with yourself. When this happens, guess what comes with boundaries? Respect. If someone doesn't respect your boundary, if someone throws a fit or tries to make you feel bad about the boundary, that's just further proof that the boundary is needed. The only people who are angry about a new boundary are those who are benefiting from the lack of the boundary. When you set boundaries, there will be people who are frustrated or disappointed. One thing that helped me be okay with other people's disappointment when I make choices that are best for me is understanding this. You have to understand the difference between attachment and love. I like to explain it like this. If you love someone, your love makes them more themselves. Your love calls out more of who they were made to be and leaves room for them to flourish. Attachment is manipulation masquerading as love. In any relationship, there can be harmful attachment in two main ways. Either you can be the one with the attachment issues, or they can. Either way, you're going to feel the pain that comes with swapping love for attachment. If someone has formed an attachment with you, toward you, you'll feel dissatisfied in the relationship, but paralyzed with guilt. So you can't leave. This person has convinced you they love you when really you are just fulfilling a role for them and they love what you do for them. If someone is attached to you, you may worry about how they will make it without you, or even if you stay, how they might respond to any decision you make. Maybe you live in fear of their disappointment or retribution or passive aggression. Maybe you walk on eggshells. They've manipulated you to feel this way. They are not a victim. You're not evil for wanting them to be their own person. They're using your love for them to bond you to them because they are afraid. It is time to wake up and to see the truth. Sometimes we're the ones who form attachments. We form them towards other people. We aren't evil either, but we may be hurting. And we need to recognize truth so we can free both the other people in our lives and ourselves to fully heal and step into who we were made to be. When you have an attachment with someone, your insecurity makes you afraid that any growth they experience will take them further away from you, risking their role in your life and therefore your safety. Only by becoming fully realized individuals can we come into relationships with no need to take control. Instead, we can give and we can set free. If love is seeing someone fully and allowing them to become more themselves, then attachment is seeing only yourself and needing someone to fill any emptiness that you find in yourself and your life. Love is oxygen. Attachment is suffocation. Love finds security outside of the relationship, so the bond is healthy and alive. Attachment finds security from the relationship, so any change in status or identity or boundary feels threatening. When it comes to attachment, you have to feel needed because you don't feel wanted. With love, you know your own value and can appreciate your own place in the world. You know you're needed, so you'd rather be wanted. All of this to say, if you make a boundary with someone and they make a fuss or immediately violate that boundary, maybe they're feeling attachment toward you instead of love. If that's the case, the best thing you can do for them is remove yourself. It is the most loving thing you can do for both yourself and for them. Make boundaries about who you want to be for yourself and for your people. Make boundaries about who you want in your life and what kind of access you want to give them. And finally, when you make boundaries, keep them. Keep them so you can build trust with yourself. You need trust with yourself again. It's not selfish. It's love. All right, guys, that's it. I hope that you find that helpful. I hope that that encourages you to set some boundaries that you really need to set. Like I said, the majority of this is all about self-work and solo work, but there comes a point where you have to set boundaries with people that are not leading you where your healing is taking you. Okay? I'd love to hear from you in my DMs if this touched you, if this hit a nerve, if this made you feel something. Let me know. And then tomorrow we are going to have one more bonus day, and I'm excited about that. So I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody.